Hello everyone and happy spring. We're in the midst of it at the moment and I wanted to share some book recommendations with you that I think are perfect for spring. We are creeping closer to 15,000 subscribers on this channel. And I am doing a $150 Amazon gift card giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, and like this video. Stick around until the end of this video and I'm going to get into more detail about the giveaway itself and how you can win. Now, I will say, spring is a hard one to put your finger on. I actually asked my patrons over on Patreon what they like to read in the spring, and it was all over the place. It was all over the place. There was only, I think, 2 people said kind of magical realism-esque stuff. So I have a little bit of that at the end, but honestly, it was so all over the place that I couldn't really glean a lot from that. So I have my own suggestions. First, I'm going to suggest books that are both rainy and or garden related. So first up, I want to recommend My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. This is a gothic book about Philip Ashley, who was raised by his cousin, who is not much older than him. Now, his cousin is a little bit ill and he ends up going to, I believe, Italy. And while he's there, to, get some warmer air in him, which the doctors recommended to him, he ends up meeting a woman named Rachel and he marries her promptly. And then he starts writing to his cousin Philip and saying, like, she's not everything that I thought she was. Philip is alarmed, and then his cousin promptly dies. And suddenly, his cousin Rachel is going to pop over to England to meet him and also potentially stay. It is so much fun. And now Rachel, the reason that I'm recommending this is Rachel is a really amazing horticulturalist, and there are lots of bits in here where she's in the garden working away, and so I think it's a lovely spring read. I'd also like to recommend The Death of Mrs Westaway to you by Ruth Ware. This is more mystery than thriller. The Death of Mrs Westaway finds a woman who is really down on her luck. She is very poor. There are people after her for money. She receives a letter that says that her grandmother died and that she has, she has to go to the funeral. She might get something from the estate, and this woman was quite wealthy, and she's like, it can't be me because I don't have a grandmother. But she's so down on her luck that she decides to go anyway. She meets all of these relatives of this lady that died, and she ends up going to stay at this beautiful house that the woman owned. Now, this book is so incredibly rainy. Like, the entire way through, it felt like it was exclusively rainy, and for that reason, I think it's a really lovely book to read in the spring. Lovely in the way that mysteries are. Next, I'd also like to recommend The Secret Garden to you. This is a children's book, but it's so wonderful and cozy. So The Secret Garden follows a little girl who has lost her parents, and she goes to stay with her uncle, who she barely sees. While she's there, she finds a secret garden on the grounds of her new home, and she goes in there and has these wild imaginations, and it is such a lovely story about heartbreak and also family and finding family and opening yourself up to love. It's really, really lovely, and of course all of the garden bits are perfect for spring. Finally, for gardening related books, I've got The Turn of the Key for you, also by Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware writes a lot of books that are very, very atmospheric. So The Turn of the Key follows a young woman who decides to become a governess. She has been working at a daycare for a while. She's kind of done with that, and she sees in, I think, the newspaper or something that there's this governess job, and she would be going to like the Scottish Highlands, I want to say, to take care of the children of two architects. They have created this amazing home. They've taken an old home and added a bunch of modern elements to it with like glass, and also the house itself is a smart house. And so at first it's really cool, but then the smart house starts working against her. And I will say there are gardening bits in here. There is a gardener, or like a guy who works on the grounds, and there's a garden in here, and there's this history of this house, which is really fascinating. And so I definitely recommend this for spring as well. Now, I also have to recommend a couple of classics, because there is something about the spring that makes me want to pick up classics. First, I mean, no one will be surprised. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen is a beautiful story. It's such a fun story about the Bennets, and the Bennets have a lot of girls in this family, only girls, and these girls need to be married off, and they need to be married off to wealthy men. And so you follow, in particular, Elizabeth Bennet, who is one of the eldest daughters of this family, who is very smart and witty, and it's about all of the people that she meets, the lives of her and her sisters, the foolishness of some of her younger sisters. It's just a lot of fun, so I would highly recommend Pride and Prejudice. And then a book that I'm smack dab in the middle of is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I'm really enjoying this. I'm listening to it on audio, and it's really great. This is my first Elizabeth Gaskell, and I don't think it will not be my last, because I'm enjoying it so much. So Wives and Daughters follows a young woman named Molly. Her mother died when she was very young, and her father has just been a widower, and it's just been the two of them for a very long time. And then suddenly he realizes, you know, I think I should remarry. And so Molly is kind of thrown into this new family. She's quite a bit older at this point. I think she's like 17. So this is a bit of a shock to the system for Molly. And she meets her new stepmother, who she's like, it's a little bit awkward. And then she also has a stepsister, and her stepsister, it sounds like, and I haven't gotten to this part in the book, but it sounds like Cynthia, her stepsister, has a lot of romantic affairs, and Molly ends up being like the go-between for all of it. So I'm really enjoying it. So I'd recommend Wives and Daughters too. Okay, and then last but not least are some magical realism stuff for like the two patrons who said magical realism. It gives them spring vibes. The first is Lily and the Octopus by Stephen Rowley. So the reason that I suggest this is that Lily is a dog, a little dachshund or dachshund? Dachshund? I don't know how to say it, but she is a little dog, and she has a character of her own in this book, and it really comes out. There's actually a whole scene in here where Lily and her owner, Ted, go on a seafaring adventure, and that's very magical realism-esque. So basically, this story is following Ted, who is this wonderful gay man. I just love Ted. He's quite sad because he's had some heartbreak in his past, and he has a little dog named Lily who has cancer, and he refers to the cancer as the octopus because it's brain cancer, and you can kind of see the formation on her head, and it looks like an octopus, and it's them battling the cancer together. Yes, it's sad, but it is also hilarious. It is also quite funny. So I would definitely recommend Lily and the Octopus for you guys. And then I'd also recommend Mr. Flood's Last Resort. This is also called The Hoarder in the UK, I will tell you. This is by Jess Kidd, and we follow a nurse caretaker woman who goes to take care of an elderly man who lives on his own in this house, and he is a hoarder. like in a major way. Every room that you go into is packed to the brim with odd bits and bobs. You know, there's newspapers and books and things lining the hallways. He's a real hoarder. And there's a mystery to the story of this man's past and a mystery to the story of this house where someone died. In any case, our main character, Maud, you know, is a very lovely, lovable person, and he is very grumpy a lot of the time. And she does get involved and interested in the aspects of the mystery, and she asks the help of these saints who show up in her life. So very magical realism-esque. I thought this was quite funny. And vivid too. Like, you could see, because of the details about the house and the hoarding, like you could really see it all there, and him. I thought it was beautiful. I need to read more Just Kid. I don't know why I've stopped here. But I definitely recommend Just Kid for you guys too. So those are all of the books that I want to recommend to you for spring. Let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these books? Have you liked them? And also, what type of books do you like to read in the spring? It's kind of hard in the spring to pinpoint it, but I think these are the ones that really remind me of the spring the best to me. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk with you soon. Bye! All right, with 15,000 subscribers just around the corner, this is your chance to win a $150 Amazon gift card. It's in Canadian because I am Canadian. And I hope that one of you will be able to buy all sorts of lovely books from your wish list with it. Now, in order to win, you need to first be subscribed to this channel, like this video, and also leave a comment in the comments below. After we hit 15,000 subscribers, I am going to pick a random video, randomize the comments, and pick a winner. So the more videos you watch, the more comments you leave, the more chances that you are going to have to win. Good luck to all of my bookish friends out there.